Welcome back to Project Brupeg. Duncan's up for the week to do a bit of work on brunette, so obviously the first place to start is by lifting some ropes out of the anchor locker and steaming over to a tropical paradise.
Brupeg was a sunken fishing trawler that was stripped out and ready for the scrapyard. She's just completed a 10-year rebuild that's brought her back to life. With the help of volunteers and funded by our Patreons, community and subscribers, she'll be crewed by passionate people from around the world. If you'd like to be involved and support the project, please consider joining us on Patreon or subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the description below.
The water itself's pretty clear, it's just there's a lot of mud and rubbish at the bottom. Just looks like dirt.
We've moved the ropes out of the anchor well because we're going to store the paint that's sitting on the back deck that's getting too hot in the green box, and we're going to put it in here. And also we've been meaning to get to cleaning this out for a while. We've got a lot of ropes. We didn't know how many we'd need, so we've collected anything we could get our hands on over the years, cheap or donated. So we'll go through and we'll decide what ropes we actually need to hold on to and donate the ones that we don't. So you can see that it's in the way of the barbecue, so we want to get rid of this box. This box is going up on the back deck. The paint is going in the anchor well. It's a box of scrap metal that we've got to keep on board. We need that. That metal is going to go in this box, up on the back deck, bolted down, strapped down. One way or another it's going to be held down.
I'm staring through your window, looking up at the stars, up at the stars. I'm caught inside a loop where I can get to your heart, get to your heart. Ooh, you're letting your fears take hold, let them take control, and it's making me crazy. If you could only look at me, you know how I feel, know how I feel. Oh, see how much I want it, see how bad I need it.
So they kind of stack roughly over on the edges, so we'll go through and we'll basically put a hole in the ribs and we can then tie things down just so that they're not going to fly anywhere. This is a stainless floor, so it's all pretty inert, even though there's rust and rubbish over it. That's actually from a lot of other stuff like chain and bits and pieces dropping rust on. There's a wee bit of dirty crap in there. This is a sump that we built years ago. When we rebuilt this front end, just so that all of the water and rubbish would sit down in a stainless sump. It's actually half of a beer keg. And then on the other side, we've got pretty much the same thing again. Got a few more containers over here. Now we do need to get more of these little 5 litre containers. These are 10 litres, this is 5 litres, because we've got a few random tins that still need to go into containers. We can't have these tins in here, they're just going to rust out in a matter of minutes. So that's a plan for the next few days. Get to Bunnings, get a few more water containers, and then we can store these.
Okay, ready when you are.
Okay, oh, it's not that bad, is it?
No.
Yeah. So right, there we go.
Oh, easy is.
Right.
Yep.
I like that it's so interesting. There's boats and helicopters, and it's going to be quiet in comparison up the coast.
Yes.
We'll make the most of this part of it.
That's how much I want it, that's how bad I need it. You've got to look into my eyes. Think twice before you let me go. My eyes are mirrors of my soul. See how much I want it, see how bad I need it. You've got to look into my eyes. Look into, look into, look into, look into, look into, look into, look into my eyes. Look into, look into, look into.
Bloody hell. That's heavy. Oh my god. It's heavy.
You got it? You still alive?
Yeah, just really heavy. Got it. And we've decided that this doesn't work out here, so we're going to empty it. We've got some tools. I like to keep some tools up on deck because when you really need them, you don't want to go down into the engine room. And we've just got lots of stuff that we're using in here. And in here is a lot of parts. So a wee bit of organising we'll get to that.
It's weird seeing the back corners of the boat.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. Much more workable space.
Yeah.
Everything's a step. Like, we can't get rid of that thing until we've done that thing, and yeah.
Is that just because we're short, that everything's a step?
Oh my god, more dad jokes. He's been like this for 2 days. I blame Duncan.
By the way, Duncan's on board.
Something about height.
That's so much better, isn't it? And you could just put a chair here,
Yeah.
comfortably.
Now we can see where all the oil drips down.
Yes. Well, we've got to fix that.
Yeah.
Don't you have to like make a bigger catch or something?
So,
The trouble is that the boat's angle keeps moving, so where the low end is keeps changing. So
So it
what
needs to be big enough to take it.
I need to make a custom thing that has quite a slant on it, so it's always the low spot.
All right.
Yeah.
so for barbecues, everyone needs to stand over there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oil to the left, to the right.
Oh, something a little bit like that. We just need some brackets.
Yes,
Perfect.
that'll work.
It's nice. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
So Damien's enjoying.
I am. It's true.
Yeah. Damien's enjoying joining this trip.
You joined
Welcome
us on
aboard.
Welcome back to Brupeg. Duncan's joining us for another leg on board for a week. This is going to become a regular part of Brupeg as we leap up and down the coast in various parts of the world. Duncan will fly in or boat in or canoe in and meet with us so that we can then do various upgrades on the boat. Generally, it's brunette. So, what are we doing this week?
So we, I was looking at the date of some of the software. A lot of the software's been running 6 years now, and that sort of blew me away when I thought back when I started working with you guys.
Long-term testing.
Long-term testing. We've done lots of sea trials.
Yeah.
The software has gone pretty flawlessly. We've had little improvements that we've made along the way as we have done some sea trials. But now your tripping is becoming more serious. And I've actually got a fly to catch up with you now rather than drive. So we're looking at a couple of things. One is we've got the autopilot. Says me looking up at the autopilot there. We've had a bit of an issue where it likes to turn, I think it's to port, but doesn't like to turn to starboard so much. So we're going to have a look at the solenoids just to see if they are actuating. So the unit itself seems to be working as Damien's just moving the knob there. We are looking at doing a run tomorrow. So the idea would be tomorrow morning we'll do a test, just make sure the rams are working, the solenoids are working, the hydraulics are working the way we think they're working, and we'll get that going once and for all. And then on top of the brunette screen there, as Jess cleverly pans around,
There's one here.
then we've got the new processor we're going to use for it. In fact, it's the same processor box that we use for the navigation system. A few reasons for using it. We have been served really, really well with the Raspberry Pi for the last 6 years in testing the brunette system, and it's actually run remarkably well. We thought salt air would be a bit of an issue, but I was looking at it this morning. I can't see any signs of corrosion or anything like that.
Yeah.
So really, really pleased with that. Having said that, we do want a slightly more powerful processor as we're bringing more and more data in. And the other little thing that we're working on is that we've had a bit of an issue with the radar where the digital compass just really hasn't been telling us the real truth on where we've been pointing. So sometimes the overlay maps on the radar screen were twisting, and we could manually put in some offset degrees, rotation, to fix that. Then half an hour later we're doing it all again. So we thought that was a calibration issue. We're now well past that, and we think it's beyond calibration. And so a job probably later on this afternoon is we'll put that one up. And it's NMEA 2000, so that will hook nicely into our system. It's also got pitch and roll. It does have a heading there for yaw. Now, maybe yaw will come up when we're underway, as we're at anchor. Yaw is null at the moment. But now our imaginations are going crazy thinking about what we can do with the roll and the pitch.
Automated boat levelling systems with our water tanks. We're thinking about, wonder if we could do things with this. But it's also...
Leave these guys alone for like 1 minute.
But it's also really cool because we want to add a bulb and a few other modifications to the hull. And to do that, we need to work with a naval architect. And by having this data, we can track it over time. And we can say, in sea state 3, the boat has a 10-degree maximum pitch, or whatever it is. We can basically give the naval architect some really good data, which means that we can then put the Brupeg into a 3D model and run CFD, or computer flow dynamics. And essentially what that gives us is a really efficient hull purpose designed for the type of sea and the type of work that we do.
And I think we've got the chance we can put some numbers against the performance on the stabilisers.
Yeah.
So the plan is, while Dunk's here, is to do a few sea trials. Now to do that, we want to get the autopilot going and so on, and to get that running, we want to get rid of this GPS. This is a North Star GPS. It's an old little dongle that we had up here. It stopped working, so we've got the Lowrance one to replace it. But we might have a challenge getting this one out and getting the new one in, because the Nemea connectors are quite long, and the guy that designed this radar mast didn't take into account big long Nemea connectors having to go down through these little fittings. Should be pretty easy to undo this and pull the old one out, like so. And at the other end we put some string on the end of that cable. Let's pull this through. Should have string any minute. That's tight, there it goes, and string. Alright, so Dunk is going to pull that through. Okay. There we go. Feed that all the way through. Now the trouble is, the fitting here is so tight that we really do struggle when we got a really long connection, which these Nemea connections are going to fit into that category nicely, so that might present a bit of a challenge. Okay, Nemea is connected. Now this might be a challenge. Alright, here we go. Down and through. This is where it's going to get stuck, if it's going to get stuck. Fuck, it's going to get stuck. Solution that Duncan came up with, which was basically put the base on and coil up the excess, because we can't get the Nemea connector through. There we go, try that.
That's it. I probably haven't bound enough, have I? Or, I don't know.
Just maybe.
Yeah, might have to go a bit
Go tighter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Lovely.
Very high precision here.
Do we need that 40 centimetre ruler that we found earlier to get the alignment perfect?
Is that the NMEA 2000 40 centimetre ruler?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that. I apologise, I'll be using this backwards. I reckon that's 2 bait boards.
1.25.
1.25 bait boards.
I like this new ruler.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. You could use this for fishing too, probably.
We could. Hey, we could measure fish on this. There's a novel
Yeah.
here.
Wonder if anyone's thought of that.
Hey.
Right, now that we've got our GPS antenna securely measured and in place, it's time to get the boat ready to move.
I'm in a wonderland. I'm in a wonderland, but I miss your hands and it's making me crazy. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes. I'm dancing on the tables, trying my best to forget. Ooh, and no one coming through the door is your silhouette. Oh, see how much I want it, see how bad I need it. You gotta look into my eyes. That's how much I want it, that's how bad I need it. You gotta look into my eyes.
So up here, Dunk's got the bridge. What we're doing is testing the autopilot, but to do that we need to go left, right, and see is it actually doing what it's told. Right, down the back of the boat, we've got our hatch here. We can see our rams in there, so that's what we're doing. It's testing if they're working as they should. So yeah, we're going to, rudder's turning to, so you're going to turn to starboard. So starboard down, slightly. This is still hard to starboard. Oh, it's sort of going back forth. Yeah, that's coming around to roughly centred. It's not centred, but it's roughly centred. That's still slightly starboard down. That's about centre there, and that's slightly forward. Yep. Forward. Yep, that's still going the other way. Just about full on forward. Yep. It's going left, right. Yeah, and you're about centre, almost about centre now. Yep. Now we're centred there. So that little test basically confirms that it's not hydraulics and it's not solenoids, so they're all working. The issue is something to do with the actual electrics within the autopilot itself, so something on that circuit board that we need to understand better, or settings maybe. Alright, I'm going to lift this anchor.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head? Floating rivers upstream, the things that you said. Tell me and be honest. Tell me, did you know that you would be leaving me just like the winners know? Tell me and be honest. Tell me, should I know that you'd be leaving me so painfully quiet and slow? I try my best to move on, to let go.
So on the bridge we have multiple screens running. We've got, this is old Brunette, and this is Duncan working on new Brunette. So we haven't got a lot of engine data flowing into new Brunette, so we're not running that on the main screen. You can see we've got a whole bunch of blanks over here, so we're not running that on the main screen yet, but it's much more accurate than this one here. You sort of see 7.9, 8.1. This is running off a new GPS, this is running off an old GPS, so there shouldn't be any difference, but there is. And there's a few other variables that are changing as well, compass heading and things like that. So that's all getting upgraded. This is our nav system. This is running off a Nook computer, which is what we're transferring Brunette to run on. So, and this has been really robust, so we're really happy with that, and that's why we're swapping it over. And it's also running about 20 degrees colder. The new Brunette is running about 20 degrees colder than the Raspberry Pi old Brunette. So lots of upgrades. Coming out of Ellie Beach, we've got a chute between this island and the headland here. There's just a little bit of a gap we've got to go through. That's the island over there, but it extends quite a way underwater. And this is the headland here. Headland itself is quite deep, but the shallow part is from that way, so you can kind of see here we're basically, we've got about 9 meters of water, so it's not super shallow or anything, but we just basically skirt through that. Saves us a bit of time. Just passing it now, and out the front we've got about probably 15 knots. It's quite flat because the islands have blanketed a lot of the weather, so we don't have any swell or anything, but we've got about probably 15 knots of breeze. Slightly off to the starboard bow, which is fine. The boat's just laying over ever so slightly to port, which is kind of to be expected. But it doesn't slow down at all. We're still doing 8.6. We've lost tacho. This is the reason we're changing away from old Brunette. We're doing 8.7 in this case, 23 litres an hour. So the boat doesn't slow down at all when we hit headwinds. We just basically lean over ever so slightly. One thing that I quite like about this boat is the asymmetrical wash that we get. So that's the center line of the boat, and all of the wash kind of meets over here on the side because of the prop basically spinning it like this. You can kind of see the rotation go across. It's the faster you go, the more pronounced that gets. That's just a little bit of hydrodynamics that I quite enjoy. So it's pretty flat, but it's quite breezy. There's some lumpy waves, but these don't really affect Brupeg that much, especially with the stabilizers down. It's only wind chop, so it's, I don't know, half meter chop or something like that. But it does get a bit wet down the side deck. On the quiet side, it's quite lovely over here. Not much water on this side.
They say time is a healer, just you wait and see. The problem is for me, I need an eternity.
We started off down here. We're roughly halfway to where we're going to go. This is a bit of a wind funnel through here, so you've got a bit of current, a bit of wind funneling through. We're coming over and there's this little channel that we've got to wiggle through between the islands, and then our anchoring spot is going to be up here at Whitehaven Beach. So where we're heading is basically, it's a bit hard to see probably on the camera, but there's a headland coming down here just by the crane there. We're sort of going around the corner, and then that island there, we're going out that way and then turning around and going around the front of it. But looks like there's maybe a bit of burn off or something over the back. But what we've noticed is the waves have dropped probably half in size. Still got the same amount of wind, maybe 15 to 20 knots, probably 15 knots I'd say. But the wave height has dropped like by half. Out there it was pretty crappy, and over here it's pretty flat. So much easier and nicer to ride in the boat when it's over here in the lee of all these islands. But we still don't have an autopilot, so we tried to do a few more sort of tests and things like that. We still can't get it. We can get it to manually steer when we're on anchor for some reason, but we can't get it when we're moving to basically send the right commands down to the hydraulics to actually do something with the rudder. So essentially we don't have an autopilot, so we're still hand steering at this stage. Just coming around the headland, I'll just zoom out. So we've done the little wiggle, we're just coming in the headland and we can see the sea now. So this is the island that we were trying to wiggle between, the island on that side, island on that side, and that's the ocean. So we're just following out a couple of fast cats that are leading the way, which is quite convenient. Where we are right now between the two islands, there's quite a bit of tide sort of scooting through. It's coming towards us, so the boat's dancing around a wee bit. You can kind of see the angle of the boat a little bit. And our speed has dropped about a knot. So it's probably roughly a knot of, oh there we go, leaning over. So we're trucking along at just over 8 knots, but where we were thinking of going is up there, but there's a lot of burn off smoke, and on that island there's heaps of burn off smoke. It might be a bit hard to see, but the whole background is haze. On the top corner of this here you can see a big waft of smoke coming off. So we're pondering about pulling up early and going into some of these bays because they're a bit clearer. They'll have shelter from the southeasterly winds. We'll tuck in sort of on this side of the hills, so they have shelter from the winds, but hopefully that smoke won't come and get us. So see how we go. This is Whitehaven Beach. This is the big fancy beach that everybody photos when they go to the Whitsundays.
And that is the smoke on the bird eye.
Yeah. And there's the other part that's on fire.
They don't show you.
yeah. What YouTube won't show you. Yeah.
It's lovely to be islanded.
Yeah, so this is the Instagram shot from there over. Just don't look at that bit. There we go, all anchored up. The front's all been washed down, windows washed down because we get a bit of salt up here and it dries, so we clean them off when we have a bit of a spray passage. Yeah, well good. I think we had, so there we go, 7.5 meters of water. Got the anchor alarm set. We're 21 meters of chain away from the anchor.
Dam and I headed over to have a little look-see at the beach. We tried to get Duncan to come over, but he was in full-on problem-solving mode, and there was nothing that was going to budge him off that boat until he had solved it. Thanks for your help, Duncan.
Getting. I've never been on tropical sand before, and here's something that I absolutely didn't expect. It's like concrete. This is just incredible. It's like absolutely like flat. Admittedly it's on an angle, but it's just flat, and it goes for like miles. God, it's just incredible. Okay, another tropical novice point. Listen to this. coral sand is noisy. Dunk's been working on the new version of Brunette's dashboard, so we've got all of our electrics over here. We've got our pitch, so we can, or sorry, roll, so we can see what the boat is doing in terms of roll, so -15, +15, like that. We've got a fuel filter differential pressure, which tells us if the filters are blocked, and then we've got all of our engine gauges over this side, and then up the top we've still got the standard ones that we had from a while back, so depth, RPM on the engine, speed over the ground, so boat speed, main engine temperature, and then boost pressure on the turbo. And then we're just working out a couple up here what we're going to do, whether we put bearing or heading on the top there.
Well, now we've got the new compass there, and we've now got a reliable bearing. It was seen. We probably still have to calibrate it, but it's doing a lot better than the old sensor. So the discussion we're just having is it worth putting bearing up there, or is course over ground more useful? And we've come to the conclusion course over ground is more useful. It's jumping around because we're at anchor, so we just got minute movements in all directions. But once we're actually moving, then course over ground actually says this is where you're really going. So we've decided we'll leave it at that.
Running repair time.
Well, wherever the other one is, these little, this temporary door and these temporary hinges, this has been getting seawater on it, and the other one, like this, that was here, has seized up, so we couldn't close the door, which left quite a gap. And of course with the stabilizer down, there's like a lovely flow of wave into the boat, pulling down in there, so I'm just changing it out so at least temporarily we can close the door properly.
And I need to swap over onto the 3-horse outboard that we've got, the little Mercury 3-horse, because our Mariner 15 that's on the dinghy is about to shit the bed, and we don't know why. It's 43 years old. We can't buy any parts to rebuild it, so I can't pull it apart to fix it, because if anything's broken then I basically lose that outboard. So at the moment it still works, but it's on its last legs, so we need to get the little 3-horse going. Right, after this investigation, the fuel tap is what's broken on this, and this is the fuel tap here, and you can see it's a little wee tap that you basically turn like that. That turns the fuel off, and put that down, that turns the fuel on. However, on this side, the back end of it is little, so I'm going to hold it with one hand, that there is normally a nut that holds this together, and it's snapped off, so that allows this to fall out, and then allows fuel to just leak straight out of that and into the ocean, so hence we don't use this outboard.
We're heading back into Early Beach to drop Duncan. He's got to get a flight, so he's heading out of the country for a little while. We'll just start the motor, and we've got a little bit of calibrating to do on the way in.
Something that we do on Brupeg is we try and have everything as grease fittings if possible, and that includes our bow roller. So we have clunk, squeeze, 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 and that's pushing grease down that black line you can see out there over the water into the pin and into the roller bearings.
This is our anchor snubber. We use a stretchy rope on Brupeg. It helps reduce the noise made by the boat moving or the chain while we're on anchor. Also helps with shock absorption. Yeah, look at that, great.
And then our safety is tying the anchor off with some Dyneema. The next morning we steam past the famous lagoon at the end of Whitehaven Beach. This is where all of the Instagram photos seem to be taken. Autopilot is working ever so slightly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, possible progress.
Oh, it's positive.
So we're trying to figure out autopilot. It seems to be working, but then it also isn't working simultaneously. It is Schrodinger's autopilot. So when we go slow and when we're at anchor, we can get it to go left and right when we use the little power button. And then when we're going slow enough with boat speed, we can get it to steer, and after a while it disconnects. It's steering very slowly, so we thought, okay, maybe it's a sensitivity thing, so increase the sensitivity so it steers a bit more aggressively, but it's still not solving. As soon as we start going fast, maybe there's more pressure on the rudder, we're not sure, but it's pretty much not doing what it needs to do. And every now and again, it'll violently lurch to one side just to remind you that it's still in the system. So that's the challenge that we're having with the autopilot at the minute. One thing we need to do is calibrate our compass. So that dotted line there is where we're heading. That's our course over the ground, and that dotted line out there is where the compass is saying the bow is pointing. So there's a bit of a difference. So we need to basically do circles, and the circles allow the compass to calibrate itself to figure out where north is. So Jess came up with the idea, why don't we do it in Ely Beach? It's a big bay, it's relatively sheltered, the wind direction won't give us a lot of swell, so it'll be a pretty flat circle. And the other thing is we have to time the circles. They have to take 2 minutes or more, 2 to 5 minutes per circle. So it's quite a slow circle. We have to do it at sort of 3 knots, 4 knots, just to keep the boat relatively flat. So that's our plan. We'll do it when we get back.
The only thing is boats coming in and out around there, so we just need to make sure that we've got a clear run. But it's enough distance, we'll be able to see them on the horizon, so we can plan it. When we're coming up the coast, you know, when the swell underneath and the tide was pushing so much, you had to reposition the steering every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It was just like being on ice.
Yeah.
It was tiring. It's so easy just to think, why don't you steer better with it? Once you understand that,
Sure, yeah.
there's a bit of pressure.
Tell you what, you get on a roller coaster and keep it straight. So next time someone goes down for an engine check, I'd like to turn on the autopilot, because isn't that weird? It's now not working at all. And it was working back there. Sure, once we got used to it. But now we're getting zero.
Okay.
So the solenoid's not working. I think there's something happening with the hydraulic fluid.
Do you want to see if they're actually working?
Well, we could do that now. You up for that? Yeah, well, sorry,
do it.
that's big now.
Can we do it with the G-Phones?
Yeah, you're in the engine room, is that?
You might not be able to hear down there.
I'm wondering.
You want me to relay it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you relay it, like you.
It just there's a delay, but
Well, actually, why don't you take this?
yeah.
Um,
I can talk to
yeah.
Duncan on the stairs and you can talk
Yeah.
to me.
Our autopilot controls solenoids, which control our hydraulic system and then feeds hydraulic pressure to the different ramps. What we need to do is get Duncan to do left and right, port starboard on the autopilot up here to send a signal down to the solenoids. I'll go down into the engine room and I'll be able to see little lights come on as they independently come alive. So I'll be able to tell if the left and right or port and starboard solenoid is coming alive. If that's happening, it means in theory we're getting hydraulic pressure down to the ramps. Now these headsets don't quite have the range to get from the bridge down into the engine room. So I'm going to be doing hand signals to Jess, and Jess is going to have the headsets and she'll relay that back up and down to Duncan. So Duncan will be giving her instructions, she'll be telling me what to do, and then I'll be just doing the tests and seeing what's happening down there.
So we just did a test with Damien and Jess downstairs, and we wanted to look at the solenoid lights. Did they reflect what the indicators were doing here? So right now we're saying this is a power steer to the right hand side, to starboard, and when I just turned it on, it actually grabbed the steering wheel from me. We expect it to take pressure away from the steering wheel as it takes control of the hydraulics, but it actually started turning the wheel when you did that. Now, as we can see, I'm asking it to go to starboard, absolutely nothing happening. If I then bring it back, and this is power steering mode, recall, so I'm now going to port, nothing happening. But Damien just checked the solenoids downstairs are switching the way they should be switching. Now the fact that I'm feeling things happen through the wheel is telling me there's something, perhaps we're not quite understanding the hydraulic circuit for the boat as well as we thought. When we started steaming today at idle and then up to 1000 RPM cruising, it was all working fine. After about half an hour, it just ceased to respond like this. I go into auto, 338 is our desired bearing, that's all fine, it's saying we're going straight ahead. It's now saying it needs a little bit of left rudder. Let me change this quite a bit. I'm going to say I want 320 degrees. It's wanting to steer port. We know the solenoid steering port. Nothing's happening.
So we're currently running at sea state Jess. It's pretty much flat. We've got, I would call that maybe half metre wind, wave, ocean swell if you're lucky. Might be able to see it out there a bit better. Pretty flat and pretty easy. It's right behind us. The boat's pushing along nicely. We're doing probably can't see it, but 9.2 knots, 1220 revs. That's at 27 litres an hour. So
we're just on the edge of the turbo, so I lifted it up.
Yeah.
I give it a little bit more.
What is it? 1260 is starting to boost, roughly. Yeah, 1280. Yeah, well, 1300. We've got 1 PSI.
Just got the turbo coming.
Yeah.
So we'll just get it off.
And we're just under 10 knots, 9.6.
It's about 31 litres per hour after
Yeah.
that. So we'll come back to 1250. Seems to be a nice sweet spot.
Yeah.
Standing underneath the lights, look into each other's eyes. Tired snowflakes are coming down, collapse into water when they hit the ground. I hear the sound of empty streets, and yesterday has gone to sleep. So all that's left.
Jane, can you just go up to the wheelhouse? Just anyone who's piloting the boat, who's not us. We just want to always have someone there, just for support. Just if anything needs checking, they can just tell you straight away. It's just a bit safer. Coming up to going through between these two islands, it's just a little bit of more navigation that's needed. And I like to make sure that everyone's got a pair up when something is changing like that.
Duncan is threading the needle through here. Don't follow that guy. He went over the land.
He's a stormtrooper. So thinking about the autopilot, we know the electronics are doing the right thing. We know the machine is doing the right thing. It's setting a bearing. It's trying to follow the course.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, we need to do a test, if we can, maybe a screwdriver trick to do here. Are the solenoids getting stuck with heat?
Oh.
So would that explain why we could see it work for 10 minutes as the hydraulics heat up? Right, okay, perhaps not. Jams up, open and close. Now if they jam open, you tell me. If they jam open, would that explain why I'm getting feedback through the wheel?
I don't know enough about hydraulics to know, but
Okay. So yes, it could be jamming, and every now and then we've had this sudden lurch to the right, so I'm wondering, well, maybe they're jamming open or closed or whatever.
Okay. Well, I'll do the screwdriver trick and just hear it if we
Okay.
Yeah, alright.
Yep.
This next piece coming up where we skirt between two islands, you can see how flat the water is here. There's not a lot of tide effect on the water, but when it gets between these two islands, it sort of funnels through, and you can see almost a line going right across from one island to the other as we get a bit closer, and it's where that tide starts to really waterfall down into the bay in front of us. You can see that dark line just above us. That's essentially the tide line. We find when we go through areas like this that have got a bit of tide effect on them, the boat tends to jump around a bit as the eddies underneath the keel start to push the boat from left to right, etc. Generally doesn't take long to get through these areas. They're normally not really long running areas, but they're kind of intense for, I don't know, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that as you pass through. You can see the size of the waves here. They're not huge, but they're quite different from what it was before, and you can sort of see eddies and things like that on the water as well. So you can see that we're almost through the waves and the tide effect and things. It doesn't generally take very long in the time sense to get through these things, but we find them really interesting when they're there.
A new feature of Brunette is a roll gauge, so we're doing 1 to 3 degrees roll, and basically we're just constantly laying over on one side. It's because we've got the wind pushing on one side of the boat. It's kind of interesting. If we were driving in this way for like 5 or 6 days, if we had to go between countries, we could shift water across and actually lay the boat back down. At the moment we've got the tanks all even, so the boat will sort of show up. At the moment -1, it'll fling back, -2 central. We've got 1, 2 degrees the other direction. So yeah, kind of a cool little thing. We just did a video and we measured the roll. It was 14 degrees, which was starting to feel a bit hairy in the boat. It actually wasn't our worst roll at 14 degrees. We think it was probably closer maybe to 16, 17 degrees, I'd say would be my guess at the really bad one. It's a bit disproportionate. The more, it's not like 10 degrees, 20 degrees feels twice as bad as 10. 15 degrees feels about 3 times as bad as 10 degrees. So yeah, I think it was probably maybe 17, 18-ish degrees of roll. This bench isn't screwed down. That disappeared off to the side, and everything that was up here that wasn't bolted down crashed around. But yeah, anyway, it was a bit of a rough trip, but it was quite nice to get through it and test the boat. Quite lovely out here. We do have a bit of a lean going on to this side. You can sort of see the horizon and the bar at the back. It's only a 1 or 2 degree lean, but we got the wind pretty much side on. That's why. So it's coming from down that direction.
Yesterday is gone to sleep, so all that's left is you and me. I can promise you're the only thing I see. Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close your eyes and let us fade away. Build a secret place for you and me. Let our minds be caught up in a dream. Quiet voices in the night. Time is running out of sight. A lonely wind is passing by. Tries to carry
Engine check all done. Jess is up the front here. She is editing. She's working away at the next episode. Hello.
Hey. Doing the wiggle.
It's quite funny trying to edit on the swivel chairs while the boat's moving. Yeah.
It's a bit of a messy scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you, how far through are you coming round? Or?
We're probably halfway across the messy bit. Yeah.
It's interesting doing editing when it's this loud, because I'm not editing for sound, I'm editing just to do the cuts and the transitions. Once we're anchored up, I'll do the sound. Editing carries on.
There's obviously some straightening up happening. The boat just did a big layover. So there's a few boats all sort of out here roughly where we are. One over there called Toy Boy, catamaran heading that way. Over here we've got Stormtrooper, which is a launch heading in, same direction as us. Over the back there's a trimarang heading out, and just over there we've got a catamaran same direction as us. Where we are now, it's kind of like a transit path between the Whitsundays and the marinas of Ellie Beach. So it does get a wee bit busy around this sort of one little bit. We have a theory, this
RPM keeps disappearing every now and again, and it's picking it up from the alternator. The batteries are at 100%, so any minute now the alternator is going to basically de-energize the field windings and essentially turn itself off. And when that happens, we think that's when we lose the RPM, the tachometer. So our theory is that's going to disappear any minute. There's our theory. Battery 100%, RPM disappeared. So it must be when the alternator decides to turn itself off. Coming into Ellie, it's pretty flat in here. This is why we wanted to wait to do the circles needed for the calibration. But if you have a look at this, we've got basically, there's our boat pointing that way, and then the compass says we're pointing that way, and we're actually heading straight in, going vertical on that chart. That's our heading there, that one that just popped up, and that's where the compass thinks we're going. So that's what the circles are for, is to correct that. To get into calibrate mode, we have to break this little Nemia connection over here, which kills the power to the compass. Then plug it back in, and we have to do 2 circles, and that tells the compass, oh, we're in calibrate mode. And then we have to do 1 circle, or sorry, 1 1/4 circles. That's more than 2 minutes, less than 5 minutes long. So that's our goal.
Yeah, we both have been on trying today. Slow trip at the Panama. Wow, it's pretty good.
Both of them in line.
Getting very close. There we go. Boom. In line. Oh, this close.
So we're testing a theory. We're at 100%, but we've just put a heap of stuff on. So we've got 5 kilowatts of load. We're pulling nearly 6 kilowatts out of the battery. We've turned the solar off. So hopefully the alternator will start in a second. That'll start up again, and that will be our test. We missed it. So there we go. 99 on the charge. It's just come back alive.
To play around, I turn everything off.
We've just reversed our test, so we've basically got solar back on, we've got the alternator charging, we've turned all of the load off, so we're feeding power into the battery. This should disappear soon.
I'm pretty happy with that bearing now.
With our calibration of the compass done, it was time to head back to Ellie, pull up to our regular anchoring spot out in front of the rock wall, headsets on, let's get the anchor down.
You're at 1.8 knots, 2 meters depth. Reversing. One knot. Yeah. Okay, circling to boat right now. Okay, yep, we're in. Yep.
And she's turning the boat round like this so that we can point the boat directly into the wind and then reverse to dig the anchor in.
Yep, you're down to 0.5 knots, 0.3. Yep, out of gear. Yep, doing a pub. morning, lovely. Yeah, I'm just going to turn the motor off.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, hello. There you go, buddy cat.